Get down. UFC 319 is here. Chicago, Illinois. Fadrikas du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight championship of the world. The most anticipated fight of the year besides JDM and Islam. But this is the biggest fight of the year, and it just feels like it. I mean, this is really a coin flip. If you feel like you know what's going to happen in this fight, don't kid yourself. If you're picking Khamzat, you know DDP can pull this out. If you're picking DDP, you know Khamzat, he might buzzsaw through him. And that's what makes the matchup so compelling. That's what makes this sport so great. I already made like 3 videos about this fight, breaking down DDP's game plan. I don't really like it. I broke down the full fight in detail, about a 9-minute video. Show that some love. It's all in the UFC 319 playlist. And I rewatched and scored Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman. We're going to break down every single fight in this card, including what I think is the best bet. And I got a good amount of underdogs here. Not a lot of big favorites here. The biggest favorites like minus 350. We're not used to that. We're used to minus 1,000. We're going to start off Ultimate Fighter Finals. I ain't gonna lie, I watched a little Ultimate Fighter. I stopped watching after he made it to the finals, after he won his semifinal matchup, and after he won his semifinal matchup. I can't remember who he fought. Fought the white dude that beat the fight nerd. It is what it is. Most of the time it's background noise whenever I'm doing something. But based off what I've saw so far, I've only seen him fight once. I've only seen him fight twice. I'm going with him. I think Joseph is the better wrestler. But I think Alibi, wrestling is his second backup game plan. But as far as the striking, he's very dynamic. A lot of the strikes he throws can make the takedowns come easier. But he's very dynamic. He's hard to hold down. He has good submissions. He has good wrestling. And he has really fast striking with decent power in his hands. I don't think he's going to get a finish. I think he goes all 15, but I think he's going to be the clear winner. And here, I think Rodrigo's going to get beat up by Neal. I think Neal's too fast for him. I don't know if I want to pick KO, but I think Neal's going to be too fast for him. From what I'm seeing from Rodrigo, he kind of like first round, and this is in a setting where it's only 2 rounds. 3rd round if necessary, so you kind of have to come out fast. You kind of have to put your foot on the gas. From what I'm seeing from Rodrigo, he's kind of lackadaisical in there as far as imposing his will. He kind of let his opponent throw his attacks first, really see where his opponent's going. And he starts to get it behind a little bit. He's a good wrestler. He's kind of slow in the striking. He's very tough. And he kind of like in his first round fight, he kind of just found a way to win in a fight where I thought he was going to lose. Picking Neal. I think Neal's too well-rounded. And he does have wrestling. And he does have some tricky submissions if he hurts you. So I'm picking Neal. Tough guy in Rodrigo. Let's get into the actual card. Silva versus Deone Barbosa. And I don't like the way people are coming into this fight. People, I understand short notice. But Carini, not short notice against Vivi, she gassed. She gassed in the 3rd round. And it got really, really ugly in there, really, really sloppy in there. And a lot of people are looking at Carini. I feel like a lot of people don't really know about Deone Barbosa. Everybody's looking at Carini, she saying that she has the better wrestling, she has the better grappling, she has good submissions, which is all true, but I don't think she's going to beat Deone in the wrestling. We saw Deone get out-wrestled here against Miranda Maverick, but Miranda Maverick has that old school American wrestling. Right? And Deone's more judo with it, so the wrestling beats the judo. But here, Deone's going to be the bigger woman. She's going to surprise a lot of people with her stand-up because a lot of people don't really know. I feel like a lot of people don't really know what Deone brings to the table. She has hands that are improving from fight to fight. She has speed. She has power in those hands. Nice straight shots. Silva, I feel like she could come in here and almost start to fade. Not almost start to fade, but Deone can start to put a pace on her because I don't think she's going to out-wrestle Carini. And she can hold her own in submission. Deone has great submissions on her own right. Really good control when she's on top as well. She's tough to deal with whenever she's on top of you. And she has good speed in the hands. She has good power in the hands, while Carini has more diverse technique of strikes. I think it's a very close fight. I think a +3.5 either way is the best way to go. +3.5 on Deone. But I think if there is a finish that's from Deone, late 3rd round, I'm picking Deone by Barbosa. I'm picking Deone Barbosa by decision. I am. I think she's going to look better in the boxing. And I think if wrestling does begin to be initiated, I think she's going to hold her own. And then as the fight goes on, I think Deone is going to be able to start wearing on her a bit. Bryan Battle versus Nursultan Ruziboev. And this is one that I wrestle with a lot, going back and forth. For one, I like the fact that Bryan Battle is going back up to 185. At 170, he looked really slow. He looked really, really slow. And it was kind of worrisome, especially as he started to work his way up in the division. He didn't beat Rude Boy. He didn't beat Randy Brown. Let's just put that out there. But going back up to 185, I think he'll look more average as far as speed-wise. He won't be that far behind. Nursultan is a fast middleweight, though. Really good straight shots. Really good straight, powerful shots. Nice right hands down the middle. And Bryan Battle is very stationary. Doesn't move his head a lot. Bryan Battle wants to grind. He wants to grit down. He wants to get in your face. He wants to make it ugly. He wants to push you up against the fence. And Ruziboev, that's a guy you kind of can do that too. And then I'm looking at him versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Yeah, you heard Dustin Stoltzfus a lot, but I like to see him smoke those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, Randy Brown, you give him these low-level guys, the equivalents of Dustin Stoltzfus, he's smoking them. Even Kevin, you said he's smoking them. And yeah, he goes to the split decision where I think he lost, but that's Randy Brown. Randy Brown is probably the best unranked welterweight in the world. Yeah, I'm willing to say that. So, Ruziboev, a lot of experience. He has good wrestling that he hasn't really shown in the UFC yet, which makes me like, has he just fallen in love with his hands, or has he regressed in the wrestling, or is his wrestling only good to me because I've seen what he's been able to do in the regionals, but he's not really instilling it in the UFC? But I look at Nurzulton, and I think he's going to be a problem early. Bryan Battle's really, really tough. He's only going to have better recovery. He's going to have better cardio. He's only going to have better durability going up in weight. But Nurzulton's fast, and he's going to be catching Bryan Battle early with those straight shots. It's just, can Nurzulton keep that pace? And people say Bryan's sloppy. Nurzulton's not the most technical Chris guy. I mean, he gives his opponents opportunities in the striking. He gives you opportunities to make something happen. And people are saying he's just so much bigger. He's 6'5". I understand that Nurzulton was at 170. And we obviously know, no, this is 185. What's this 170? This was 170. And we know what Joaquin Buckley has become to be at 170. But Joaquin Buckley's much, much smaller than Bryan Battle. And Joaquin Buckley put it on Nurzulton. And I'm looking at this. I don't think Bryan gets finished. And I think the tide can start to shift as the fight goes on. And I can see Bryan Battle pushing Nurzulton back, being the one going forward, making it ugly, making it boring with the clinch, threatening takedowns. I'm going to pick Bryan Battle. Low confidence, but I'm going to pick Bryan Battle by decision. I think an over here is fine. I don't think Bryan finishes Nurzulton. And I think Nurzulton will be catching Bryan, but Bryan's very tough. I mean, Bryan's taking Rude Boy, Randy Brown power, so I think he'll be able to deal with Nurzulton's. No disrespect to Nurzulton. Moving on, we got Jakar Klose versus Edson Barbosa. Everybody's just looking at Edson Barbosa as the old guy. Jakar Klose is not young. He's not young at all. He's out of his prime just as much as Edson Barbosa is. And for that, I'm going to pick Edson Barbosa by decision. I think there's going to be a clear speed disadvantage, and I don't think Jakar's close wrestling is going to be that big. It's going to be that much of a factor, so I think Edson's going to be able to defend. Get his back to the fence, grab underhooks, reverse position. I think it's gonna be at range. I think he's gonna be in space. And I think Edson's gonna be able to show off his fast hands, his fast kicks, and I think he's gonna kind of dance around Jakar Klose. I think Jakar Klose has to be all in on the wrestling, try to wear on Edson Barbosa, but if he does that, then he's gonna fade himself. I'm on Edson Barbosa here. Alexander Hernandez versus Chase Hooper. People are calling this a step up in competition for Chase Hooper, and I'll pump the brakes on that. I'll remind you, Kurt Hollabaugh was robbed. Okay, it was a close fight. It was a close fight. But I don't think he beat Kurt Hollabaugh. I don't. And for there to be a 30-27 out there, I don't think he beat Kurt Hollabaugh. Let's watch that one back. Austin Herbert split decision. I mean, I think Jim Miller gives Alexander Hernandez some problems, especially with his defensive wrestling, his jiu-jitsu, with his cardio and boxing, where Alexander Hernandez kind of falls off of a cliff after the first round. And I think Chase Hooper's gonna put the pressure on this guy, and I think he's gonna be competitive on the feet. I think Chase Hooper's gonna threaten some takedowns, maybe get one, maybe just make Alexander work a little bit, and then in the second round, I think he's gonna be smothering. Alexander Hernandez, and I think he's gonna sub Alexander Hernandez in the second round. I do. Alexander falls off a cliff. He has okay boxing. He's short and compact, which is gonna make the grappling harder, but he fades. Chase Hooper's stand-up is improving from fight to fight. Even though he's not leaning on it and really trying to showcase that he's a better striker, because he's still leaning on that grappling, which is really good, his stand-up is getting much better. Filling out into his frame, showing that he has some power. I don't think this is as much of a step up in competition as people give it credit for. And I don't think a +3.5 on Alexander Hernandez is a safe play at all. I think Chase Hooper is gonna run through Alexander Hernandez come the second round. It's gonna look competitive until it's not. Moving on, we got Jessica Andrade versus Lupita. I gotta start reading shit. Versus Poopy Godinez. First of all, I'm not giving Loopy an excuse for getting outdogged in the third round against Julia Pilastri because she had to take a shit. There's so many things that go in a fight, so many just mishaps that go on in a fight, whether it's an injury in the middle of a fight or anything. For me, that gets brushed under the rug for me to just say, well, she had to take a shit so I can understand why she got outdogged by Julia. No. And I don't trust Loopy. Okay, she did secure 5 takedowns in that Julia Pilastri fight. I'll be honest, she did. And that's what you want to see. You want to see her start using her wrestling more. But I'm getting to a point to where I have to stop expecting fighters to fight a certain game plan who are A, unreliable, or B, have shown that they're not going to. I think Lupita's going to be on the feet striking with Jessica Andrade, shooting takedowns here and there, but I don't think she's going to be putting a crazy wrestling pace on Jessica Andrade. And I think she's a much better fighter than Jessica Andrade, but I can't trust her. Now, Jessica Andrade, she doesn't have the greatest fight IQ. She only knows one way, and that's come forward, be active, let the hands go. And I think that might look good in the judges' eyes here. So I think a +3.5 with Jessica Andrade is pretty safe. I don't think Lupita, if Lupita does implement the wrestling, I think she can be able to take her down. But I think Jessica will be able to make her work. Lupi fades in these fights. So as the fight goes on, I think Jessica coming forward, letting those hands go, maybe hitting a lot of air, but I think it's going to look good being more active. Lupita's very, very stationary, especially going backwards. She's just not that good going backwards. She needs to be the one going first, controlling what's happening. And a lot of times she lets her opponent dictate what's going on and then react based off what her opponent is doing. Here against Mackenzie Dern, she's reacting, letting Mackenzie Dern control where the fight goes, letting Mackenzie Dern go first. Even against Julia Pilastri. She was kind of letting Julia dictate where it goes. Okay, we're going to box. Okay, I'm going to outstrike you here. Okay, you're going to throw something crazy. Now I'll level change towards the end of the round, which was good. But I just don't think that's the type of fight. I think you want to make Jessica defensive. I think you need to be all in on the wrestling against Jessica. And people look at her getting smoked by Jasmine Jusudavicius and getting smoked by Tatiana Suarez. We're talking about some of the best wrestlers in the world in WMMA. But why does nobody talk about this Mackenzie Dern? She stuffed all of Mackenzie Dern's takedowns. Now, Lupi is probably a better wrestler than Mackenzie Dern. It's really Mackenzie's jiu-jitsu and her submission ability that makes her dangerous, but she stuffed all that shit and knocked her out. So, while Jessica has her, I don't think she's really declined. I think her style is just aging bad as the women start to get better. I almost want to pick Jessica Andrade. I know Lupi is the better fighter, but I can't stop myself from seeing Lupita outside of the black line, back against the fence, moving around, trying to box and trade with Jessica from time to time while Jessica's just throwing big bombs. And it's hard to shoot takedowns when you're going back while knowing she fades, while knowing Jessica keep her foot on the gas. I can't believe it. I'm picking Jessica Andrade by decision. I just cannot trust Lupi. It's right after she gets a really good win. It's when you're like, okay, Lupi's here. And then she lets you down. While Jessica, I know what I'm going to get. She's going to come forward. She's going to let the hands go. She's going to try to get in your face. She's going to try to back you up. And if you wrestle her, it's going to be problems. I can't trust Lupi to just go all out on the wrestling. And if she does, I don't think her jiu-jitsu is good enough to get the finish. And then all of a sudden, we're looking at a Lupi who's a little tired and Jessica's walking her down and getting in her face. And that was interesting on the judges' scorecards. So for that, I'm picking Jessica Andrade. Moving on. Is this a new fight? I'm be honest, I don't know these guys, y'all. And I'm not going to stop the video. It's Wednesday. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9:30. Look, I got shit to do. I'm sorry. If you're ready to unsubscribe and call me a casual for not knowing who these guys are and not being ready to break this shit down, I apologize. But I did not know this was on the card. Okay? Didn't know this was on the card. I didn't. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these Tapology picks here. Because I went 9-11 last card. I want to have a good... I'm going to look at these Tapology picks here. And we're going to pick this guy. Yeah. Anyway, we got Oleksiejczuk versus GM3. I'm picking GM3. Here's why I'm picking GM3. I think GM3 is going to be the faster fighter in this fight. Mihal, he does have big power in his hands, sure. A little overrated power, but he does have power in the hands. And all of his losses are to good fighters. Don't get me wrong. But I can't help but feel like this is a good matchup for GM3. Okay, GM3, I think he's going to be faster. I think he's going to keep this fight at kicking range. Now, while being faster, while getting caught along the fence, while his back being on the fence, Mihal isn't the type of guy to just cut the fence off. He follows you around. He kind of stalks you a little bit. Mihal doesn't have a lot of speed, and he's very one-dimensional in the hands. He doesn't even throw kicks. I think GM3 is going to keep this fight at kicking range. He's going to move around, maybe absorb some hard shots, but stick around. This guy isn't a quitter. He'll get hurt, but this guy's not a quitter. He's not a quitter. And I think this is the easiest matchup that he's had in a while. I mean, you look at Brad Tavares. I think that was his last loss. Brad Tavares, brick wall takedown defense. Some of the greatest takedown defense ever. You know what I'm saying? You look at RDR. He was kind of smoking RDR. He was up 2-0 going into the third. He was up 2-0 going into the third, winning all the grappling exchanges. He gassed out. He got finished. He beat Edmund Shabazian, which is the same exact style as Mihal, except Edmund is more dangerous, has more power, is faster. I know I'm playing MMA math here, but throws kicks. I know I'm playing MMA math here, but It's hard for me to not think this fight extends, and as this fight extends, Michal starts to look a little bad. And GM3's starting to, got you in a bad position now. And GM3's showing the speed, and GM3 is landing kicks, and GM3 is landing his jab, which GM3, people act like GM3 only has jiu-jitsu. GM3 can strike. He showed that against the Ritter. He can strike. The Ritter isn't the greatest striker, but he was lighting up the Ritter, showing speed. So I'm picking GM3. I'm picking GM3, and fuck it, let's get freaky. Let's go legendary GM3 submission round 3. I think it's gonna go to distance, and I don't think it's crazy to think GM3 can win the decision. So I'm actually gonna pick GM3 by decision. I think we're putting too much weight in Michal, especially after this win against Cedricus Dumas. I think GM3 can fuck around and knock out. Okay, that might be crazy. That's crazy. Let's move on. We got Bobby King Green versus Diego Ferreira. I gotta pick Diego Ferreira. I'm gonna pick Diego Ferreira by second round knockout. I think this fight is gonna be fun. I think we're going to see a lot of back and forth, a lot of chirping because of the type of personalities these guys possess. And I think it's going to take Diego the first round to understand Bobby's movement and his unorthodox striking. The thing about Bobby Green is, yes, he is washed. And yes, he is very chinny. But his hand speed has not diminished. He has really, really good hand speed. It's just the type of style of fight that he fights, similar to Israel Adesanya. I mean, you're relying hands low, you're relying on reaction and head movement. He's behind, he's delayed. He's not seeing strikes coming like he used to, where he can roll out of everything and counter. You know, I think Diego's going to be walking Bobby Green down because Bobby Green likes to be on the outside. I think Bobby's going to have to use his kicks. I think Diego is going to mix in the grappling. And I think he's just going to make it ugly, make it dirty, make it fun. I think he's going to look to have a fun fight with Bobby Green. And then in the second round, I think he's going to understand, okay, I see how this guy's dipping his head. I see this guy's movement. I see this guy doesn't really have that much power that's gonna deter me from just, you know, letting it go. And I'm gonna go find him in the second round. I think he's gonna go out there. I think he's gonna land some big shit, and I think he's gonna KO Bobby Green or club and sub. I think he's gonna finish Bobby Green in the second round. I do. Kai Asakura versus Tim Elliott. We have to pump the brakes because first of all, Kai, who doesn't get smoked by Pantoja, right? If this was Kai Kara-France versus Tim Elliott, you guys are picking Kai Kara-France, you're picking Kai Kara-France by KO, and you're not even going to think twice about it, okay? And Kai Asakura had more success against Alexandre Pantoja than Kai Kara-France did. I mean, he's the better Kai. He's faster. I think we're going to see a highlight reel knockout from Kai Asakura. I think it's ridiculous to just assume this guy has no takedown defense and that Tim Elliott is able to get takedowns. 1 + 1 = 2. He's going to take down Kai Asakura. I think that's a bit foolish because this isn't Pantoja. And even Pantoja took Kai Asakura down. Kai Asakura got his back to the fence. Kai Asakura got up. Yes, he got subbed. Once again, Pantoja subs everybody, right? And for him to come in his first UFC fight ever underneath the bright lights in a main event, it would have been easy for him to just tuck it in. And when you look at the result of the fight, he got rid of control. What, round 2? Round 1? So it looks like he got smoked. But he landed some hard fucking shots. And that's the cannibal. He eats that shit. Tim Elliott's not eating that shit. I think we're going to see a highlight reel KO. Huge flying knees from Kai Asakura to Alexander Pantoja. Fast punches, fast kicks. He's fast. He's fucking big. He's 31 years old, about to be 32. I think we're going to see a highlight reel finish. Tim Elliott with the funky boxing and then get the wrestling. I think that shit's for the birds. And Tim Elliott, he does not have the type of power that's going to worry Kai Asakura. I think Kai Asakura is going to buzzsaw through Tim Elliott. Look to make a statement and get a highlight reel KO in the first round. I really do. Moving on, we got Jared Cannonier versus MVP. And I talked about this earlier in the Loopy fight. We can't expect fighters to fight a certain game plan that they've shown us they're not fighting. You can't just look at Jared Cannonier and say, okay, you're big, you're strong, go all in on the wrestling, push this guy against the fence, and wear on him. Because that's not his style of fight. His style of fight is to establish his jab for one. He's not going to let his hands go until he establishes his jab. So he's going to look to establish his jab, get the hands going, and then mix in takedowns as the fight go on, as the opportunities open. And then when I look at MVP, I think this is such a good matchup because that's the story of MVP's career. Everybody wants to do that to MVP. And if you're stupid enough to strike with him, then it's just an easy day at the office. But everybody wants to push MVP back, shrink the cage on him, get in on the wrestling, clinch him, and wear on him. That's his whole life. That's his whole life. That almost seems like the only way to beat MVP, and that's just not how Jared Cannonier fights, so I can't come out here and expect Jared Cannonier to do that. Also, I just said Jared Cannonier is not letting his hands go until he establishes his jab. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not going to establish that jab because Michael Venom Page, although he's going to land 7 strikes around, and at the end of the fight, he's going to, the over-under strikes, go ahead and take the under. Okay, and he's gonna land 20 strikes at the end of the entire fight. Jared Cannonier is gonna be frozen in there. And whenever Michael Venom Page does land, it's something big, it's something significant. It's a big blasting right hand. It's a big blasting kick. It's not pitter-patter. Even though he looks like a scrawny guy, it's not pitter-patter. And I'm looking at Jared Cannonier. I think he's going to freeze in there. He freezes everybody who tries to strike with him. And Jared Cannonier is not going to let loose until he establishes his jab. Now, in the third round, after he's down 2 rounds, he might look to bite down on the mouthpiece and make something happen. And then that's when I think he's going to get in trouble. And it might even make it worse for him. I'm not trying to sit here and act like Jared Cannonier has no chance. But looking at Jared Cannonier, I mean, Izzy froze him. You know, he's taking some whoopings. You know, he doesn't have the greatest durability. I mean, yeah, I'll take that back because his recovery is really good. It's really good at recovering, but I mean, he's getting stung and he's getting hurt a lot, much more often, to where MVP is going to be moving. He's going to be so much faster. This is going to be a different type of speed that he's never seen before. So I don't think it's just fair to say he's bigger and he should wrestle because that's what makes sense. So therefore he's bigger and he's going to wrestle and he's not going to be wrestling. He's not going to be all in on wrestling. Will he shoot some takedowns? Yes, but he's not going to be all in on the wrestling. I think MVP's going to freeze Jared Cannonier and he's going to dance around him and he's going to do his little emote and he's going to sting him. I think he's going to hurt him at some point in this fight, and I think MVP's the play by decision. I think there will be an opportunity where he hurts Jared Cannonier. I don't think he's going to get him out of there. I'm picking MVP by decision. I mean, this is just a different type of speed, a different type of movement, a different type of way of covering distance and amount of time. And his length, it's going to be a big problem for Jared Cannonier, I do believe. And if he just decides to bite down on the mouthpiece and just come across the void any type of way, then I think it can start getting ugly. But I think that's what he's going to have to do in order to beat MVP. He's going to have to just bite down on the mouthpiece and make it ugly. Make MVP have to fight a dog fight. Make MVP have to really showcase his hands in the pocket and make MVP have to grit down. See if he ate his grits. We got Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. I think this is a healthy step down in competition. No disrespect to Jeff Neal because I think Jeff Neal is criminally underrated. But I have to pick Carlos Prates because it's just too hard of a matchup. It's too good of a matchup for him. I think there's going to be a really, really bad whooping. See, I want to say he's not going to finish him. But this KO here, where was it? Li Jingliang, it makes me think he can KO anybody. I mean, this guy has a death touch. You see what I'm saying? And Jilin Liang is the type of guy that I don't think would have ever got KO'd. I think he'll just take his beating for 15 minutes. And Jeff Neal's a guy that I look at like that too. I mean, a guy that'll just take his beating for 15 minutes and be ready for a dogfight. But I think it's going to be an accumulation of damage, and Carlos Prates is going to pour it on him. And I think he's going to break Jeff Neal. I do. Jeff Neal's has really good boxing. Fast hands. His hands might be a little bit faster than Prates, and I think he's going to be a little better at getting to the target because he's more straight, while Carlos is a lot of looping. He does have a nasty straight left hand, but he loops a lot other than his straight left hand. But I think about Jeff Neal is Carlos Prates is going to be able to catch Jeff Neal with the same amount of tools that Neil Magny was catching him with, that Ian Gary was catching him with. Ian Gary is a little bit more sophisticated in the striking as far as the techniques that he throws, but Carlos Prates is a madman in there. And I think Jeff Neal's going to have to fight a boring fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff Neal tries to fight a boring fight after feeling the power and seeing the angles. Carlos Prates is nasty with his angles, real nasty with his angles. And like I said, Jeff Neal is very straightforward, straight back, whether it's offense and defense. Straightforward, straight back, and he's dipping that head to where knees are going to be open up in the middle. The body's going to be open because Jeff Neal's high guard. The body's going to be open. He rips the body nastily. Carlos Prates has nasty kicks. And like I said, he has that death touch. He has that difference in power to where he's never going to be out of a fight. As you saw, Ian Gary, I had it 3-1 going into the fifth, but, you know, he was down in the fight, and even in that fight, he was not out of that fight, as you saw the way that fifth round ended. And I'm looking at Jeff Neal. I think it's going to be a tough night out. I think he's going to take a brutal whooping, and he's going to hang tough, and he's going to crumble. Maybe even a body shot. I think he's going to crumble. Similar to Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree. Also, Jeff Neal coming into the pocket. Now Carlos Prates gets to show off his Muay Thai with the clinch. Nasty in the clinch. Nasty Muay Thai. I mean, I think Jeff Neal's going to be able to land, but I think there's going to be a big significant difference in reaction from when Carlos Prates lands compared to when Jeff Neal lands. I think it's going to be a problem. I think his hooks are going to come right across the guard. Prates is willing to give one, to take one, and then Jeff Neal, whenever he's fighting somebody with movement and length, he kind of gets frustrated in there. You can frustrate him in there, and you can play with his ego a little bit to where, and when he knows he's down, he's going to go for it. He's one of those guys who's going to go for it. And a firefight with Carlos Prates is bad news. Picking Carlos Prates, round 3 KO. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes decision, but I think it'll be a brutal whooping from Jeff Neal. With all due respect, I think Jeff Neal, like I said, is criminally underrated, but I think this is a bad stylistic matchup for Jeff Neal. Moving on, we got Aaron Pico versus Lerone Murphy. Aaron Pico is a guy that I like. I like Aaron Pico. And I understand you want to make a big splash, but what's the rush? Michael Chandler coming in and fighting Dan Hooker, that makes more sense. Michael Chandler was on the older side. Michael Chandler was actually a champion outside of the promotion. Patchy Mix coming in against Mario Batista. At first, it was supposed to be Chito Vera, who was 7. It's like, okay, at least it's not top 5. I mean, you had Aaron Pico scheduled to come in here against Movsar Evloev, who is the consistent #1 ranked featherweight by everybody who has a brain. You see what I'm saying? Outside of Volk's the champion, so we're putting Movsar at 1. And this is a huge step up in competition. I mean, this is a guy who's never lost, who has been through adversity and has overcome that adversity. People are saying Dan Ige hurt Lerone Murphy really, really bad. Aaron Pico's not Dan Ige. Aaron Pico has big power like a Dan Ige. He just doesn't have those skills nor the reps against the competition that a Dan Ige has. Josh Emmett is a really fucking good fighter. You know, what's wrong with having him come in here and debut against Giga Chikadze? What's wrong with him coming in here and debuting against David Onama? Against Josh Emmett? Against Dan Ige? Against Pitbull? I understand you want to make the big splash. I understand that. It's a high risk, high reward. And what I'm saying is low risk with a lower reward. But what's the rush? He's 28 years old. And he's never even he hasn't fought a fighter nowhere near the stratosphere of Lerone Murphy. Neither has he fought against the guys who Lerone has recently beat. He hasn't fought a Josh Emmett. He hasn't fought a Dan Ige. You see what I'm saying? And yes, Lerone Murphy, it's a different type of fuck that. Leon Murphy, because this is Leon Edwards. It's a different type of composure that he brings to the octagon with him, to where it's hard to rattle him. It's hard to rattle him. We've seen him fight adversity really, really early, come back short-term memory, and just get himself back into the fight and outclass his opponent. And I think Aaron Pico has to be all in on the wrestling to beat Lerone Murphy. I think he has to go all in on the wrestling, but I think he'll fade if he goes all in on the wrestling. I think his box is going to turn into one big shot at a time instead of beautiful flowing combinations. And I think Aaron Pico might take round 1, but Lerone Murphy, with his distance management, with his cardio, with his IQ, he's a very, very smart fighter. It's a lot of decisions, and it's hard to win a lot of decisions. Even the close fights, he wins them. That takes IQ. He's a really, really smart fighter. He has speed. He has elbows in close. He has wrestling in his own right. He has good cardio. He has good distance management, to where he'll throw the right kick at the right time, the right strikes at the right time. He'll bide his time. He'll win the right moments when he has to win them, and he'll outpoint you to a decision. I think Aaron Pico winning is actually better for the UFC, because Aaron Pico is an exciting fighter. He's coming to make a statement. He's coming to be exciting. He's coming to But you have to ease him into this. This is an unhealthy step up in competition, and I don't think it's fair to Aaron Pico. And then if he loses this, you do the exact opposite of what you're trying to do, and you hurt him. And you hurt him really, really bad. And like right now, Patchy Mix, who gives a fuck about Patchy Mix now? You see what I'm saying? So I don't like this. I think Lerone Murphy is going to face some adversity in the first round, and I think he's going to regather himself. He makes really good adjustments in the fight. I think he's going to make really good adjustments. I think Aaron Pico's going to start to fade. And like I said, I think he's going to become less dynamic in the boxing, one big shot at a time, looking for a highlight, while Lerone Murphy is touching, moving. Oop, take down the fence, reverse position, put him against the fence, put him in a clinch, maybe land an elbow there, get back to space, touch, and move. And I think that's going to be a problem. And I think Lerone Murphy's going to win this fight boringly. I think all the excitement will come from Aaron Pico, but I think Lerone Murphy's going to win this fight. Now, this is a fight that I broke down. I did a whole separate 10-minute video for it. I've broken down this guy's game plan. I've broken down this guy's cardio and all of the things that he's been training with Sam Calavita. So, please check out that video. I'm going to count to like 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I'm going to keep it short and sweet here. I'm going to keep it really, really short and sweet here. I did all the X's and O's, the different scenarios, different possibilities in the other video. That's what that video's for. This one, I'm going to keep it real short and sweet. Okay? And it's going to sound like I'm downplaying somebody when I'm not. Because I understand, I really feel like this is a 50-50 fight. Either man can walk away with this, but this is what I feel is going to happen. I feel like I'm giving you enough time. So don't take this as disrespect. I'm picking Hamza Chimaev by round 1 submission. I think that first initial shot It's going to be so fast. Nobody defends it, first of all. But I think it's going to be so explosive and so fast. And I think, and Dricus du Plessis is not the type of fighter to want to survive. He's a hunter. He's not used to being a prey. He wants to be the predator. Dricus du Plessis doesn't want to ever look like he's in a position where he's losing a fight, where he doesn't have control of a fight. Dricus du Plessis is also talking about how he wants to wrestle the wrestler. Yeah, Hamza's going to take me down, but what happens when I take him down? What happens when I reverse? What happens when I'm on top? What happens when I break him? And I don't think it gets that far. I think Hamza's going to take down Dricus. And Dricus, in his head, I don't know if it's ego, I don't know if it's confidence, I don't know what you want to call it, I don't know if it's stupidity. But I don't think he's going to go Kamaru Usman all defense, tuck the chin, where Kamaru Usman almost got subbed, and he got 10-8. I don't think he's going to go all defense. He's not going to go all defense. He's not going to go all defense. Protect your neck, protect your neck, protect your limbs. Okay, am I safe here? Am I safe here? He's punching me, but I'm not going to let him. He's going to scramble. And you're not out scrambling Hamza Chimaev. I don't, even though I think he ends in the first round, I don't think in the third and fourth round, I don't think he's going to out scramble Hamza Chimaev. Kamaru Usman was taken down more times by Hamza Chimaev than he was taken down in his whole career combined. Hamza Chimaev was securing takedowns over 2.5 rounds in that fight. Third round, when he was quote-unquote gassed. Second round, he's securing takedowns. Dricus du Plessis, while I love him to death, he's one of my favorite champions in the world. Dricus du Plessis is nowhere near Kamaru Usman wrestling. Defensively or offensively, nowhere near. Especially technical-wise. Staying safe. Biding his time. Getting to his hip. Getting under. It's a lot of strength. It's a lot of brute force. And Hamza Chimaev is going to be able to match that brute strength and force with technique and with speed and with skill. And that's going to be a big problem. And I think Dricus du Plessis looking to make a statement, looking to say I can hang with this guy, looking to show that I can wrestle with this guy. I think he's going to try to out-scramble Hamza Chimaev, and I think it's going to be a downfall, and I think he's going to get rear naked choked in the first round. Let me know what you got going on in the main event. Let me know any pick that you guys disagree with. Like, comment, subscribe, share this to somebody. I hope they enjoyed just like you did. See what I'm saying? You ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here, man. You go be live for these fights. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a fun one.